Well, thank you, dear countrymen and women. On my tour, going around this country, what really broke my heart the most was seeing our lands and waters completely destroyed without shame. The use of state machinery to protect the perpetrators of this and the looming danger that beholds Ghanaians living in this community and the entire nation as a whole. Dear citizens, we have an emergency. This has led me to find a solution, the only viable solution, without which we can never overcome the situation. I may now present to you the Galamsey Manifesto. For me, I see yesterday's problem becoming tomorrow's opportunity. In the 60s, Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore turned the water problem of Singapore into a national asset. And that changed the entire Singapore. That was maybe close to 70 years ago. He was the first prime minister in 1959, just around the same time as Kwame Nkrumah. They all started together. Today, Singapore is one of the best countries, well developed in the world. And it all came from the Singapore Enterprise Industrial Team, developing the entire nation. I have a vision, and this vision to turn Ghana better than some of the witness countries that has been built in the last century. I'm very proud of mentors and leaders like this. Well, let's get back to their manifesto. Why did I decide to do a manifesto for Galamsey? Because I wanted to give you a national asset, not just the 12 pillars that will rebuild the building as Ghana, but I also wanted to give you the inside information, the solutions to do what Lee Kuan Yew did for his people and for his country by turning his problems or his crisis into an opportunity and letting that become a national development that will be globally recognized and appreciated. My vision is to do that for Ghana and go beyond the borders of Ghana and help Africa. I believe we Africans deserve better. We deserve more. We deserve to do what the Western world, Asia world, and many other continents on this planet Earth are doing. So, let me start by introducing the people that caused the problem and how the problem was caused. They said the only way to have the best solution for a problem is to go back to the roots of the problem. So we went back to the roots and realized that the imperialists, who are the international influence, and they work through multinational companies. They are the imperialists. And then coming down from the imperialists is the cartel. The cartel is the government, and of course, in the government, you have the politicians and the chiefs who are taking royalties from being the landowner. And when you move down from the cartels, you go down to the mafias. The mafias are the Galamseys. I just want to explain to Ghanaians that these local Galamseys campaigns are using cyanide and mercury to wash the sand. I want to just wait on this part a bit, that the three things I've mentioned, the imperialists, and then the cartels, and the mafias. The imperialists are the ones controlling the hard rock mining. The cartels are the ones controlling the colluvial mining. So that is the politicians and the chieftaincies. And the mafias are the basic Ghanaians who did not get any job and started to do alluvial mining within all these constituencies. This mafia state is undissolvable unless we apply this plan, which is in this manifesto. So there are three types of mining. You have the hard rock mining, which comes from upstream mining. And then you have the colluvial mining, which comes from midstream. Then you have the alluvial mining, which comes from low stream. I would like to say that these three things is just like how we take oil from the water as crude oil, and then we refine it in a refinery as refinery process, and then bring it to low oil market companies to sell the fuel. That's the same thing that is happening in the mining world. But this time, it's destroying our country because of the process. So I know what I'm saying is it's not going to be likely for people, but this manifesto is the only thing that will save this nation, because I can see the opportunity, the vision of Ghana becoming the star of Africa, the powerhouse, if we can go into hard rock mining ourselves and start to create reserves. If we can go into colluvial ourselves and alluvial. So that brings me to a solution, and it's called, the solution will be based on investment and development. Well, I'd like to start by an investment that I have as a vision for the country, which is water purification. This water purification, all our water bodies in this country, completely destroyed. Now, the water purification, together with the plants of recycling, will cost us 4.5 billion to purify all the water. And if we don't, we are destroying the lands. We are turning all the lands that we grow our crops on into a poisonous land. Very soon, we will not be able to have water in this country, and we will have problems in crop farming because the land has begun to be destroyed and is moving very fast, rapid. Now, if you look at the numbers I was just showing you, 4.5 billion, and the returns of this investment in 10 years is going to give us 32.1 billion, which is 200 tons of gold. Up to date, Ghana, we still don't have that gold in our reserves. We had 7 point something tons, and recently they said a few has been added. Whether over 10, I'm yet to find out. But 200 tons secures you 32 point something billion sitting as our reserves in 10 years, just by this investment. But there is more to this investment that is coming. We are going to use this investment as purifying the water with extra plants. Guys, I think you have the plants, so if you can show the plants. The plants, I would like the plants are here. So these plants are going to do three things. It's going to take the water, it's going to purify the water, and then it's going to extract the poison out of it, which is cyanide and mercury. But here's an interesting thing that we found. We did the research and realized that once you are able to extract the cyanide, you can turn it to ammonia. Ammonia means you're going into the process of urea. And urea is fertilizer. Currently, we import fertilizers for all farmers. This could be one of our biggest opportunities in lifetime, Because now the one problem that we had has come to solve all the problems. Now we're taking the cyanide and the mercury and processing it with some sodium and turning it into fertilizers. Not only would have the purified water gone back into the grounds by building the biggest irrigation system that will harness our agriculture and make us become the #1 food producers in Africa with all our water bodies. This vision, it took Galamsey's problem for us to discover this opportunity. As I'm saying today, we will turn this around and Ghana will have the most jobs because the recycling plant will be the beginning of our industrial power and our scientific research to find out what we can use anything in Ghana to do, from the plastic on the floor to the clay and to the poison in the water. And not to forget, this same water, we have no choice but to purify it, because our second pillar in this country is to connect all the waters and make it build a water transportation to connect the regions and unify us in doing business. 200 tons of gold as reserves, still not enough. The Galamsey Manifesto has a plan to build our own upscale mining, which is more upstream mining, mid-scale, colluvial mining, and then low-scale mining. But whatever water that is being purified is going into that ground that you just saw before this picture of colluvial mining. This farming, you need to put those pipes onto the ground, the pipelines, to create that. So there will be a whole circulation of manufacturing chain order. You are looking at a new Ghana being transformed through this. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about this opportunity of the Galamsey being turned into an industrial hub within the regions. What I saw in a lot of places in Ashanti region, there was almost every 2-3 miles, there was a valley with water that is poisoned and people in the water, sort of, washing the water with poison. So this is some kind of issue that it will be so difficult to resolve it if we don't give back to society. This plant is going to create jobs for the same people who were doing Galamsey. They will probably be paid more than they were receiving from chasing the gold crumbs. Purification, which is going to be 4.5 billion, would also create tens of thousands of jobs within the nation itself. So it's not like the 4.5 billion is going out of the country. The 4.5 billion would be payment that will go back onto Ghanaians as workers, whilst we turn that into billions of dollars. You saw it yourself, 32.1. As such, other ideas around this gold industry, I like to say that the imperialists, who are companies like, or imperialists who support companies like Ashanti Goldfields, you might never know who the owner is because it says Ashanti Goldfields, or Goldfields, or many other fields. They all amount to trillions of dollars. When you go back just 40 years, 4 decades, in 8 to 9 regions, this amount of wealth has been extracted. We decided to do a bit of research and not investigate them, but it's public information to find out more. That how are these people surviving and investing in our country and digging a hole, cracking a mountain, taking all the gold out, and not even covering it? I'm sure you saw it in my presentation for the Galamsey Part 2 video. Who is sponsoring them? I realize that most of these companies are also getting fund from financial institutions like IMF. My vision, my mission is to write off our debt with IMF, because we don't need to owe them, but we can simply have international commercial relationships with them. If they're interested in gold, they can definitely buy from us once we produce it ourselves. And not to say that we don't want any foreigner to also mine here, but we just don't want any foreigner to extract from here. And we don't get the skill set. That's why we're still washing our waters with sand, looking for gold crumbs. Why? The top people, they go straight to the rock, determine where the gold is, put the machines up, cut, and take the value out straight away. When we try to get value, we destroy the whole country. This tells me that we don't have the skill set. And our mindset for creating wealth is still slavery. You can see it there. Because we are digging the soil and washing it with our hands. They are using machines to excavate, to crack into our stones. I stand here today because industrialization is the only way out for us as a nation to build ourselves. If we don't put this in place, and I don't just have to be president to do that, but I'm already on a mission to make sure that this is accomplished for Ghana and for the rest of African countries. We live by machines. We wake up in the morning and I iron our clothes with machines. We are on the phone, it's a machine. We drive to work, it's a machine. None of these machines that we can build, and none of these machines that we are using. Over the tour in the 276, I realized that the most markets were on the roadside, and the most businesses were in the bush, where someone is excavating or moving the earth and extracting the wealth that we go back to either the IMFs or the World Bank to borrow for our economy. Well, Ghana, I'd like to say this to you before I come to an end with my closing remarks, that we cannot borrow money. We cannot borrow money and fix our lands with it and pay our workers with it. We can only create wealth from what we have, from what belongs to us. And if we're able to turn it around, then we'll be in control of our wealth for the rest of our lives. Our children will adapt from it. They will learn from it. They will come with more skills, and there will be more intel to expand our vision. I have a vision, and I see Ghana being transformed to the likes of Dubai, America, and most of these Western countries that our children are running to, just to stop them from running away, because they don't come back anymore. And I don't see why we should harness and invest in our children, educate them, and somebody imports the talents from us whilst we export the goods which they took the raw materials from us. It's a reverse cycle. And for that reason, the new force have come to give a fair share of our equity, a fair treatment of equality, and a fair way of treating building nation empowerment. I'd like to say thank you very much. In closing my address tonight, I want to take this opportunity to thank you all for your time. I thank you for the young people who supported me in my 276 constituency tour, the mothers, also some old people, and fathers, grandmothers. I was surprised. Genuinely, Ghanaians are good people. It's rather unfortunate that partisans or politicians have failed us. Our expectation of development is undermined by our own capacity and abilities. I'd like to say thank you to the regional coordinators too. The constituency executives, the electoral area comrades, it is now time to protect what we've worked for. We've worked so hard as a new force and as a new generational leaders. I would like to urge all of you to go out and vote peacefully. And after voting, Ghana as a nation, let's protect our ballot. Let's be reasonable, for this country is in shambles. Our economy is facing problems. Our currency is facing crisis. Our waters are polluted. The last thing we have left is our democratic constitution to govern the nation. And I'm urging the nation for us to do this peacefully so we can move forward and build our country and make it a better place and make Ghana great again. Thank you.